Welcome to another live edition of African Americans Ain't African, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the bottom of a ship. I'm your host, Buck Wylam, and tonight we're going to discuss the Americans. You know, I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of people asking me a question. Well, what's an American? What's an American? And I want to explain what it is, what the term means, and how it applies to us. It's when we call ourselves things, when we take on foreign names and how we use them to describe ourselves, and that description doesn't fit in to the environment that you are now living. An example would be using the term and calling yourself Black. Black doesn't fit into the social economic plans of the people who are running this capitalistic system. Black just doesn't fit in unless you're in the Black. And that's profit. And they're in profit. And they're in profit. They're always profiting because they're always profiting off of the Black. Because we don't think this is our home. We think we're foreigners. We think we belong somewhere else. We turn our backs on our foreparents and want to pick up another culture, another ideology, and try to live that life and not live the life that our parents and our grandparents and our great, 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 great grandparents had from the lineage which we came, which what we're supposed to be doing now. See, if your people were in the tobacco business now, you're supposed to be into the tobacco business now. That was a lucrative business, and we're shut out of it. And it's your business. Same as the cotton business. The cotton business, that's your crop. If you look at some of the clothes that were made, that the Americans made for themselves, look at the clothes they wore. They made it from the cotton that they grew. That was their industry. They didn't re- they didn't refer to themselves as less than zero. They didn't refer to themselves as nothing, disastrous. They didn't take on foreign names and apply them to themselves, not knowing what the word means. Because when you really understand what the word means, you want to change it. I would hope. So this is of the utmost importance. I want to put this out. I'm not going to be too long. Just want to give you some information on your purpose to the planet. You don't have to look at it like that. You don't have to understand it. This is for not people. So if you think that you're Nicki Minaj too, be not Nicki Minaj too. Uh, we passed the time where we're not in the arguing stage anymore. That's you see Negroes arguing. You see them fighting amongst each other. That lets you know that they are definitely somebody has them by the chain, because they're normally arguing over beliefs that aren't either one of them. They normally get a belief from another group and they think that they're it. But when we don't study what it is. We don't read. We don't read. And we take on these personalities, we take on these ideologies, and it just ruins the group. And this is fourth, fifth, sixth generation. We're not evolving out of what we were in. Well, most people aren't. There are some people that are. Doesn't matter the age. They can be as young as 6 and as old as 96. When you're on this planet, you have to evolve. That's what spring, summer, winter, and fall tells us every year. You have to change. And unfortunately, in the African American community, we feel how we came in at 22. We're supposed to be that way our whole lives. And it stunts the movement of the people. I mean, as a whole, because the people are supposed to be, you know, helping this planet evolve. It's you scratch my back, I scratch yours. The planet is what created us. Now I know you say, oh, my mother and father did. Yeah, but your mother and father are a creation of the planet. The people didn't create themselves. We've evolved to this point. That doesn't mean that we stop moving because other people have came and given us handouts and given us ideologies and ways of thinking that makes us stagnant. That's not how it goes. As a group of people, the Americans, and when I say Americans, I mean African Americans, blacks, Negro, colored. You see how the name changes every so often? Every generation or so, the designation of the people changed. So that the term African American wasn't used in 1970. It wasn't used in 1950. They had different terms to describe the people because they're trying to get the people off the land. See, what the people who are in control of the African American, what they realize is they're dealing with a nation of people. They're dealing with an electromagnetic currency that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole. And the people who live on that, America, the people from the tip of Chile all the way up to Alaska, those people are connected to the land. They vibrate at a different frequency than, say, someone in Asia. They vibrate of a different frequency as someone that lives in England. They're different. They do things different, just like the people in India do things different than the people here. It's not that it's bad or it's not that it's better or it's worse. It's just different. There's different fish in the ocean. There's different birds in the sky, but they all fly together. They all swim together because that way they can ward off predators. You know, they can hunt better. They can do things better as a group. And that's the purpose of African Americans and Africans, just to connect the people, the indigenous people from here. And I mean, I would suggest that everybody, you don't take my word for it. We get jumped. People want to get mad. You just hate your African self. You see the brainwashing. We won't even think. Somebody just tell us a story. We won't even think about it. We won't question it. We just believe it. And then when somebody comes along and asks you a question about it, you get upset. Why is that? These are the black groups. Why is that when you question, is this right? Has it worked? It gets mad, not wanting to evolve. Black doesn't work. It always loses. Shouldn't we move away from that and look at ourselves in a different way? It's hard for us to do that because we don't want to, because the majority of the people who call themselves, they're defeated. They're defeated. So the term American, I like to stretch this point because when I share this with people, they look at themselves a little bit different. Now, everybody's familiar with the term American. Uh, but the 1828 definition of America. And when I say look at that term, 1828 was the first dictionary they wrote when they were coming over here. It's American English. It's not Great Britain English. It's American English. So some of the words were some of the words that the people here used, and they just fit them into the lexicon. So when you look up the term American, you look it up and it says applied to the copper colored people who lived here when the European got here, but now apply to the European. How does that happen? So these people just came and stole your identity to fit into the land, to fit into your role. They had wars with your people, moved them off the land, ran them off the land. That's why, and some of us helped out. See, that's another thing that we're going to have to get into. The reality is that why we have so many afflictions is because so many of our people joined them to destroy us, and it's still going on today. You see it. You see it every day, right in your face. So these are the things that are happening. These are the things that keep us from moving forward. These are the things that we always march in. These are the things that keep us always begging. These are the things that always keep us poor because we refuse to evolve. And evolving is nothing major. Evolving is just simply changing. Changing. A person is an alcoholic. What does he finally realize? That this is not helping me one bit. What does he do? Stop drinking and evolves. He just changed. For us to do that, come on. I mean, really. So they came over, took over American, and start calling you all kind of names: savage, beast, coon, all kind of names, because they had to demonize you to make them feel better in their role as they came in to replace you. They took over your industries, your cotton industries, your tobacco industries. No, why don't you have those now? Because we can't organize ourselves. We can't say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We can't organize ourselves because everybody's an individual. I'm doing it my way, me. And that's to me, that's the main thing that they broke away from us on. That's the main thing they took away from. So American is the copper colored people, who would you would call them African Americans, black. So this is where the term black becomes a problem because you've never seen anybody that's black. I said it before, I said it again. $1,000 to anybody who produces a black person. And you know what I mean by the color black, like the color of the face of your cell phone, the color of your shoes. That's the color black. You've never seen nobody that color. Most of the people you see here walking in America are red. Look at them in the sun, they're red. How somebody can get us to call ourselves black and defame ourselves and defame our character is beyond me. And these people, they are in it. Well, black is not it's a way of life. How are black people living? Why would you even, that's the dumbest thing to say. That's where we are because we refuse to move forward. Hey, why don't you call yourselves what your great grandparents called themselves? They normally call themselves, by the river they lived, or by a bluff that they lived, or a hill that they lived on, or a mountain they lived near. That's what they call themselves, or a river. That's what they called them Earth. They called themselves Earth people. So American, that's American. So that's the British German term, word, word for the term. So if you look up the term, there's a mountain range that goes down in Honduras called Ameri. Ameri. You can go look it up. It's the mountain range that runs right down Honduras. That's another term for it. These terms weren't used. If you go look in the uh, British dictionaries and the Latin dictionaries and all that blah blah blah. These are terms that they didn't use. These are terms that they interpreted from the people when they got here. Your people when they got here. So the British used the term American. The French use the term American. Same word, just said different because French, British, German, Dutch, Spanish, they're all the same people. They just, their language, it's kind of like here in America, how, people in California sound different from people in New York. People in New York sound different than the people in Mississippi. The Mississippi sound different than the people in Boston. The dialects, the environment where you live, you know, shapes the way you speak, right? So these are simple things that we have to know. So the French, uh, their term was American. So it's very important that when you look up these terms, you look what they mean, what the terms mean, because somebody can just be throwing you something out there and see if you jump on it. And if you jump on it, they snatch you in. So if you look up the term, before I get into Amerique, I'll give you an example with the term black. So if you do the etymology of the term black, you will see that black really doesn't mean anything that you would want to be. This is not what you made it to be, because that's one of the problems we have. We think that we can take terms that other people make. We think that we can take words that other people make and try to fit them to our phenomena. It doesn't work like that. So the word black means horrible things. When you look at it from when it started, when the term started, and as it came through and used through all these different peoples, what it means. And that doesn't describe the group of people who live in America. The, the, the best description that I found that fits the group of people that lives in America is the term American. American. What does it translate to? Because we're not French. The term, the letters AME is am. The other letters RICAN, Rican, like Puerto Rico and Costa Rica. That means rich. Rican means rich people. Am means soul. Am means soul. So I take the word and say rich soul people. Who would that be? What who would that be the description of? Who are the rich soul people? The people who call themselves African American, the people who call themselves Black, Negro, colored. It's a description of how these people are, rich souls. That has been taken and turned against us. And we're destroying that and the land. Because, like I always say, whatever happens on this land, we're responsible for it because this is our home. And for us to act like it's not, See, that's where a lot of people don't. That's why they call themselves black. That's why they call themselves Africans. Because see, they can fantasize about Africa. Why anybody can do anything to their homes, and they have no responsibility for it. You'll you'll see. You'll see. Your children will see. So, what is our job on this planet as Americans, as rich soul people? We're supposed to help the earth. That's everybody. So if you told everybody that everybody had to go back to their place of origin right now, the planet is dependent on it. All the people who ancestry is in England, you got to go back to England. All the people who ancestors in Poland, you got to go back to Poland. All the people whose ancestors in Russia, you got to go back to Russia. All the people whose ancestry in Africa, you got to go back to Africa. All the people whose ancestry in China, you got to go back to China. That would bring balance to the earth. Everybody's over here mining for the Americans' gold, and the American doesn't have a problem with it. So the picture of the earth you see, and this is just something to think about. That planet is suspended in midair. Don't you know that you can take and use some of the powers from the earth for yourself? Know that? That's why they call you rich soul folks. As a group, do you know what you can do? And the earth will help you. But since we are cloned away from it, so what do I mean when I say cloned? So um, here's just a simple example. There's many more examples, but here's just a simple one. Okay, uh, from the invaders when they got here, you were doing whatever you were doing. They got pictures of you. I mean, man, I mean, you used to be on the money, Confederate currency. Check out the book. You used to be on the money. That you doing your industry. Whatever it was, you were cultivating food. That's the main thing. What were you doing? What were your people doing? That's what you're supposed to be doing now. You'd always have a job. We're supposed to be feeding ourselves. We feed whatever we're served. That's the majority of us, right? Do we pay attention to that? Aren't we filling up these hospitals? Aren't we giving up our organs like roses? They're mining for the American. The movie Get Out told you that. One of the brothers' eyes. They use your tendons. They clone your body parts, huh? And we're not looking at it like that. Maybe I'm being a little too forward. Maybe we shouldn't care. Maybe I'm wrong. How are we cloned? We're cloned when we don't walk on the earth. We walk on concrete. We're not ourselves. We're a remnant of ourselves. That's another way you're cloned. How are you cloned? You're cloned. You're putting headphones on, not paying attention to your surroundings. You're cloned. You're a figment of what you once were. How are you cloned? You clone when you put on wigs and fake hair. How? Because it cuts you off from the natural environment. It cuts you off from the habitat. Why don't we know? These are simple things. We have been cloned into something that we aren't, and you see it. You see it everywhere you go. Those people who have been cloned, they're not to be used anymore. You can't. People who used to have jobs, though, you see those are drying up now. Those won't be there for your children. What as a group will the next generation have? Because groups of foreigners are coming over, and let's say if you go to California, the majority of nurses in California are Filipino. Why are foreigners nursing us when we at our sickest? Where are our hospitals? We don't even ask that question. You'll get your eyeball scratched out. Why aren't these questions asked? Why aren't we having birthing our own babies and keeping the placenta and the cord blood? Why are these corporations coming in getting the placenta and the cord blood of the poor American females in these cities? And why aren't nobody saying nothing? Few people are saying something. And won't even compensate the mothers. That's the respect they have for us because we don't have any respect for ourselves. Speaking of respect yourself, there's a song called Respect Yourself by a group called the Staple Singers. Cold song, cold song. Respect Yourself, Staple Singers. Check it out. You'll love it. So what is the role? What is the are we supposed to be doing? So it's kind of hard to bring this message across because we're so individuals. We're not even in our right state of mind. So I'll put this out there uh, for the people who can hear it. So if you look at any other species on the planet, I brought it up before, you'll see birds, they'll fly together. You'll see fish, they'll swim together. Lions, they'll roam together. Deer, they kind of stay in packs. They go off and eat, but they stay in packs. Bees, they're all together. Everybody is together. And they're doing their thing on the planet. They're doing their job to help, Earth be what it is, be what Earth created. You can't get a caterpillar to do what you want it to do. You can't get a deer to do what you want it to do. You can't get a fish to do what you want to do, and you don't have a problem with it. But other people can come get you to do what they want you to do, and you're cool with it. That means you've been taken out of your natural habitat and put into someone else's habitat. And the people who call themselves African American, they're comfortable in it. I mean, they're giddy about it. They feel good about it, not realizing, not looking at what's happening to them, and arrogant. So this is not for those because I'm under the impression that, like you say, you have free will to do whatever you want to do. You have free will to do whatever you want to do. So the job of the Americans, like the name says, American rich soul folks, you're supposed to be flowing like that Mississippi River. You're supposed to be building and creating like you see in Utah and you see in the Grand Canyon and in Missouri. Your foreparents built monuments, cold monuments, all over in America. It's just in America, we just get in these cities and we never leave. We never explore America. We never go driving across America. We never go to some of these off roads and check out how our parents were living. I mean, I know people that say talk about their parents, their grandparents, their great grand. Can you imagine? And we throw all that away by saying that we're black, we're African, we're melanated, we're this, we're you know, you what your parents called yourself, and you know what they called you. You should know what your people call themselves. If you don't know, ask somebody, they'll know. So the job of the American, male and female, is to create life, to sustain life, not just life of humans, but plants, animals, any life form on this planet. You're supposed to cultivate it and nourish it and make it into uh, yourself. That's the whole thing with the dogs. They got some people that can train dogs to be almost a human. They have all kind of life forms here in America that you used to be over, that you used to cultivate. You scared to go into where they are now. Scared to go into the forest. You're scared to go into the woods. You're scared to go into Utah and to Idaho and to Montana and to Wyoming and see this is a beautiful place. Those places I just named get millions of dollars of tourism money a year because people want to come see what this place is about. This is the land that birthed you, and you're acting like you don't care. That's gonna have to stop. So, you know, most adults, they'll look at this and say, "Man, I'm going to watch TV." If you can, pass this down to some children, 8, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. Let them hear it because the children, what they're not tainted as the adults are. They'll hear this and it'll start shaping their brains right away, which is one of the reasons why we're not allowed to teach our children anything because we're not. So that's the job of the Americans, and that's a group doing it, and it'll happen fast. Organize, organize yourselves by state, by region, by nation. Whole now we got to be on the same page because the people who call themselves Mexicans, they're on the same page. The people who call themselves Asian, they're on the same page. The people who call themselves white, they're all on the same page. The people who call themselves India or Hindustan, people from Hindustan, they're all on the same page. We're going to have to be on the same page. We going to have to be on the same page, y'all. Can you imagine? I mean, if you just imagine it, the people who call themselves Afrocentrics, that group, say, oh man, dang, we are indigenous to America. The people who call themselves Egyptian, oh man, I didn't know. The people who call themselves Christian, oh wow, man. The people who call themselves Muslim, damn, cuz, I didn't, what? The people who call themselves Hebrews, what up? Can you imagine? It will change the world in a day. But for some reason, that eludes us. So can't elude it anymore. Uh, you're really at the 2 minute warning now. You seen what was it last week or a couple of weeks ago? The the boy who was hugging the cop in the Ferguson debacle. His lesbian white mothers drove them off a cliff. Really? because that's what happens to our children when we don't think they're anything. And it happens a lot. You'd be surprised how many people, because people say, well, what do I do? I say, go ask your people who you are, ask your aunts, ask your oldest uncle. If your grandparents are dead, go look them up, go dig up your grandparents, their records, see what they did, what they were called on the census, where they lived, what they did. You can figure all that stuff out. We like to ignore our foreparents, and they're the ones who bought us forth. I mean, can you imagine that? The arrogance. I mean, I have brothers tell me all the time, my grandmother didn't know nothing. She was ignorant. Are you serious? And she lived to be 105 years old? I, huh? Are you serious? This is where we are. This is what happens when you call yourself what you're not. You're calling yourselves black. You're not just talking to us. When you're talking, that sends out a vibration, and if everybody's doing it, that vibration, what do you think other people think when you call yourselves that? And they got those same people where they come from. You're calling yourself, you're begging for them to take advantage of you. Another definition of black means, if you ever saw an FBI document and some of the words are blacked out so you can't understand the document. That's what the term black means. Nobody cares about us. Ice Cube said that a long time ago in a song called Us. You want to check out Ice Cube? Go check out a song by Ice Cube called Us. And what he's saying is right. You are to be mined. You are to be taken advantage of by other people. They're coming over here to take you over, to take over your land. And we just not la 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 la. We don't care. We'll go build a school in another country before building one down in Mississippi where they got it hard. Well, they said the entertainers can't spend what's the use of being an entertainer if you can't use your money the way you want it to do, where it needs help. That's how you know they're not worth listening to. Huh? That's what I mean. We have to take control over our own destiny. That's the only way. That's the only way it's going to work. You got to take control of your own destiny. Well, I'm going to end it right here, and American. Americans are the rich soul folks, the rich soul people of America. And that's you. I mean, you black, you may call yourself black, monkey, jigaboo, whatever. Okay. But the Americans, the rich soul folks there, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, Aretha Franklin, Ohio Players, Zapp and Roger, Parliament Funkadelic, that type stuff. The kind of music everybody listens to today. The kind of music, if you walk into these stores, grocery stores, you got these new health food stores, they playing that type of music. You walk into these new restaurants where they gentrifying you out, and these people are opening up their own restaurants. They're playing your music to get the people in. But that's not you. You're a Hebrew Israelite. You see how we do it? We take on characters in a book. We take on characters in a book. And I trip off the people with the Bible because it was like the Bible that's mass distributed over here now. That's like the 14th version of a Bible. They got Bibles before that. and we don't read those. And that's what I'm saying. We don't we don't know. We're not trying to know. We don't question. We just take what we give and think that's gonna get us through life, and it's not. It's not. So, got to do some critical thinking. Ask some serious questions. Ask some serious questions. Critical thinking. Look at things from an opposite point of view. If somebody says something, don't be so quick to cut them off and say they crazy. Look at it from their point of view. See, I'm gonna look at the world different from a woman who walks in shoes with her heel off the ground. We're gonna look at things different. We're in a different position. I mean, that's just one aspect of how we've been chopped up, how we've been taken a month away from each other. We look at stuff different, and you may look at yourself as a star, and I just look at myself as a regular man. We'll see things different. If you look at the world through the lens of a Hebrew Israelite, and I look at the lens of American, we're going to look at things different. That's the whole purpose of giving you all these ideologies and beliefs. No, none of the beliefs you came up with, or your parents came up with, or your grandparents came up with. Somebody came over here and gave you a belief, and you believe it, and that's what you do. And you don't think you can change because you think your friends and stuff will laugh. Let them laugh. You can't be a woman in Egypt 5,000 years ago or more. I don't. That time thing is a joke anyway. So I don't know. You can't be that because it takes you off of what course of what you're supposed to be doing here, what you were created to do for here. And we were all created. Our parents created us. They did. You know how much dap do we give them for doing that? Just for doing that. We're here. You're breathing. You can do things. You can think. You can be better. You have examples all around you on how you can be better. You have some of the most brilliant people. If you go to this African Americans Ain't African, check out the group on Facebook, African Americans Ain't African. You have some of the brilliant, brilliant people, youth. They're young. The questions they ask, the pictures they put up of they're going back and finding their people and finding pictures of their great grandmothers, and you tell me who these people are. They're Amerindians. So find out who you are. Just go back, check out ask your mama. She don't know. Ask her older brother or sister. Ask her uncle or aunt. Somebody knows. Get back with your family. Start talking to them. The ones that can be spoken to. Some of them are lost. Some of us are dedicated their lives to helping these foreigners build their empire on their land. Some of us have done that. We've dedicated our lives to that. And many of us haven't. So, what is going to be good for us in the future? What are some of the energy, uh, natural energy, renewable energy that we can use? Places that we can live in, because the cities are collapsing. Those rents are unsustainable. So you got to think of ways of living different. Doesn't have to be the way it is now. It can be a whole new lifestyle because this is falling. It doesn't sustain life. It's it's taken too many lives. America's on the books for about 100 million people dying. probably more. See, that's another reason why things don't go our way because we help them do those things. We like to always call victim, but we look dumb doing that because we help. You know, brothers went over to Vietnam. I know brothers who proud, yeah, until you ask them, what did you do? See, we can't forget that. See, we play a part in it. See, we like to brag about how we was Tuskegee Airmen. What did Tuskegee Airmen do? You went and flew in somebody else's war while your people were being persecuted here, and now the people here look at you as a hero. Wow, wow. The Buffalo Soldiers. What the Buffalo Soldiers do? Go kill off some other brother somewhere in the country so white man can expand his territory. And we look at them as heroes. We'll be in this position for a long time. You better learn from history. You better learn the wrongs of history and correct them because we still doing the same stuff now. America has been brutal to the world, and many of us, we've helped. We help now. So that's what I'm saying. You could be in a city like Miami and the oxygen. Let's leave that city. You don't have to leave long. What, 10 minutes, 5 minutes to wipe out the population? These are these are these are ways Earth will keep itself in balance to get rid of people. What, a sink, a mountain, it'll explode and or will erupt and wipe out a whole bunch of people. Mhm. The Pacific Ocean's full of plastic. Really? You don't think the Earth would try to correct that? And she herself is a living being hosting all these life forms on it. You don't think that she would try to clean up herself or clean up the mess that humans have done to try to correct herself? When when species that Earth created are being wiped out by man, you don't think the Earth will try to correct that? Many don't because in our little lifespan we haven't seen it yet. But if you look around the Earth, you'll see that there's craters, there's people that have been wiped out. There's all kind of things that can happen. So we have to look at ourselves for what we are for really, and what we are really is that we are uh, creations of the planet Earth. When it gets down, when you take off all the clothes, the earrings, that got the fresh haircut, take the two earrings out your ear. When you do all that, when you just look at it, you're a species on this planet. What are you to do? Only you know that answer. And you know what to do. And a lot of times that's why we do all the other things because we don't want to do what we came here to do. And all that you came here to do is correct what you didn't do last time. Can I get a witness? So, Americans, soul folks, you have a voice, you have something to say, you have something to do. I would suggest get it done. Find out who your people were. Seriously, your people weren't what they're depicted as. The world loves you. They're running over to your homeland to get to it and to get to you. Find out your purpose. Find out why you're here. Study your family. Start with your mother. Go back to her mother, your father. Go back to his bloodline and study the people in his mother's bloodline. Then study the fathers. And the only reason I say study the mothers because mothers have babies and mothers take care of the babies. I mean, it's simple. Find out who they are because a lot of people, you've heard the story of Henrietta Lacks. A lot of people, you know, have that same DNA. You know, it's not just one person, it's all of us. That's why they get you to call yourself black so you won't think nothing of yourself. If you saw a black baby, you'd run. If you saw a black girl, you'd run. If you saw a black guy, you would run. There's no such thing as black. So keep those in mind, but seriously work on searching your family. You're important. Your children are important. Your mother was important. Her mother was important. All that for you to get here, for you to come through, for your kids to come through for a reason. Find out that reason. Find out the root of that. It's not hard. I might want, might have to cut the TV off, and that's a good thing. When you find out who you are and you find out you're connected here, you'll make better decisions. You won't get it. You won't live in this matrix. You live outside it. So do a search on your family. That's what I could say. Your family can tell you more about you than anybody can. Ask them. So I'm gonna go ahead and end here. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Next week. Oh, this Saturday. Yeah, we'll be back in a couple of days. Uh, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, peace out.